Hello and welcome. Okay, so today's episode, I would love for you to tune in because I would love to plant some seeds in your mind around some specific rules of the game. So the rules of the game that today's episode is relevant to, they're marketing rules. So this is, think brand, key person of influence, profile, content and product ladder, and the psychology of sales. So Paula Brennan is here to talk to us about the 5 images, the must-have images that you need right now to move the needle in your business. Now, I could tell you story after story, stories from eons ago and stories from yesterday around why and how this stuff works. And all I'm asking you to do right now is tune in and let it all soak in order to help you do better in business. For more information on this episode or how to work with me, check out the show notes or visit betterinbusiness.global. You've tuned into Better in Business with Jeannie. As an award-winning strategic bookkeeper and business veteran, I am dedicated to helping entrepreneurs learn, grow, and prosper. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules, play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar 1 for the success of any business is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping. If your books are not right up to date, tune into episode 1, please. You can also get in touch with me if you'd like some help. My guest today is Paula Brennan. She is a personal brand photographer and educator who works with camera-shy business owners to help them show up more in their website and socials and fills them with confidence to market themselves effectively. I reached out to Paula and I asked her to come on the show because she is a marketing ninja as well as a personal brand photography superstar. And I know that what she has to share has the potential to help all of us do better in business. Welcome to the podcast today, the magical Paula Brennan. I think anyone who can point the camera at us in business and make us look on brand and awesome is a bit magical. So welcome, Paula.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you so much for coming on. I was really excited so I reached out to Paula and I asked her if she would please come on the podcast. After I was on social media one day and Paula popped up and all her beautiful marketing collateral popped up. Paula is a photographer and videographer, brand photographer, and personal brand photographer. And I was really impressed by what she does, but I was also really impressed by how she does her marketing. And so I reached out to her and I said, who does your marketing? And Paula said, me.
I'm a little bit of a marketing geek. I love marketing. It's kind of like my happy place. So it's wonderful that the confluence of my career of being a photographer for 23 years has kind of landed me in this space of this digital age and in this golden age of marketing ourselves online where, you know, my two sort of special skills have converged at the right time. And now I get to help other people.
Yeah, you're definitely walking the walk. Definitely. And I love what you said. Did you say the golden? I love that because it was only the other day that I was saying to my tribe, the reason I love this digital age, I know it has its pros and cons, but one thing I love is just how instantly connected we all are. Like I get to ask my audience questions directly, no matter where they are in the world, and I get them to respond. So I love this digital age.
Yeah, I do too. I'm from the business time where you had to put an ad in the yellow pages, and whichever ad was the biggest one got the traction, the biggest and the colorist, and whatever side of the page was on. And the fact that we can position ourselves now, and that we can actually take, like dedicated action, take the steps that that can actually get you and position you in front of the right target audience. I mean, what a special gift to be in when you've got a business right now.
It is. And we were talking before the show, and I was saying how I really wanted to tell the audience today a couple of things. So one is putting yourself out there as the face and the key person of the business. It's not about vanity and ego. For me, it's about vulnerability and connection. And vulnerability, if you haven't read Brené Brown, read her stuff. Read Dare to Lead, really important business book. Vulnerability and connection, and the courage to step out from behind the curtain and tell your story. And this is a timeless rule of the game, my friends. Okay, I have been playing in this space all my life, actually, in our family businesses. And in terms of the rules of the game, today is about brand, key person of influence, profile, content and product ladder, the psychology of sales. And today we are talking about the top 5 images you need working for you right now. And so, with enough rambling from me, I'm going to turn over to Paula to tell us about, in her own words, what are the top 5 images and anything else that is in her heart to tell us today.
Well, can I just add first on what you were just saying there? Because I think when it comes to stepping out and being in front of an audience and sort of putting yourself out there, I think a lot of us make it a vanity metrics about the way we look and the way that we're received, and will I get it wrong? And I like to think of it more of being of a better service to your clients and your potential clients, because that's what we're in business for. Where, a lot of the time we are in service-based businesses. I understand that to be most of your audience is in some sort of a service-based industry. Mm-hmm. And I think that, it's doing people a good service if you can get out of your way and be present for them and be in a place where they need you to be able to help them and to look after them. And so if you can sort of push aside your own stuff, if you will, about doing this, imagine your favorite client that you've ever worked with, the best client you've ever had, and the biggest changes and the biggest impact that you've had in their life, right? Imagine if you had played small and if you'd hidden in a corner and you hadn't allowed them to be able to work with you, to see you, to enjoy your gifts. I think that's doing a disservice to the world. I think it's doing a disservice to the people who need you. And so I know that it can feel uncomfortable, but I think if you can just put that on the shelf and just suspend that for as long as it takes to put up a post, to record a video, to do whatever it needs you to do for you to reach that person, then I think you're being of better service to your community, to the world at whole. Okay, so that's the first thing. So let's jump into the 5 brand image musts, because I know that that's what we're here for. Don't want to go off topic. So the first one you're all going to know, and it's a really easy one to get your head around, which is your profile shot, aka the headshot. Now, this does need to be a tightly cropped, clear photo of your face. But most importantly, it's really important that it's recognizable. So it looks like the you that's showing up. Now, we've all had those instances where you've seen a photograph of somebody and they've walked in for a coffee and you didn't recognize them because A, the photo was old, B, it was too over photoshopped, C, it just is not an accurate representation of them as a person and as of their personality. And so I think it's really important that you make sure that this photo is congruent to the person who's going to walk into the room. That's just really important. However you want to be perceived is fine, but make sure that people can really feel you through that profile photo, because that's the one that's usually repeated over and over on your social media profiles, through your website, your business cards. It's that same photo. So it needs to make sure it's really connected. It's confidently you, and it's confidently the you that you want to show up as in the world. Okie dokie. Can I also say with this one too, please make sure it's not a version of you that's cropped out from a wedding photo or something and you don't have half another person in the corner. How many times have you seen those and they're really bad?
And if you've done that before, that's okay. We start small. I remember, Paula, my first headshot for like 13 years ago when I was starting my little bookkeeping practice,
I don't think I'd long had a baby, right? And I was out the front in the yard and my sister took a snap of me and I look like hell and she just photoshopped me to within an inch of my life, just.
Yeah.
And
And
that
this
was
is,
my headshot.
unfortunately, it's happening a lot where people are like using AI and stuff on their phones now to start altering their entire features. And I worry it's just really false. It's not true. And it's giving a really bad perception of you as a business. Like it's like, hang on a second,
Yes.
who's this alien looking creature on the phone that doesn't match this person that's coming in the room? We can all tell when photos have been overly doctored. So just try not to do it. It's just
don't use. Someone used AI on me recently and showed me the photo and I asked who it was.
Right.
I didn't recognize myself. So yes, please have fun with AI, but not in the workspace.
Keep it to your personal pages. So the next photo that I think is really important for any business owner to have is that working with you shot. So work with me, work with you, whichever way you want to show it. It's really about showing people the environment that they will experience if they're coming to work with you. So you kind of want it to feel a little bit like a fly on the wall, I guess you would say, but it still needs to feel welcoming and it needs to feel environmental, I think, as well. So when I say that, it can be in your office, it can be in your boardroom, it can be out on a work site, it can be you driving in your van to work. It doesn't matter, but you just want people to get a sense of the environment that they're going to come and work with you or they're going to experience working with you in. And can I say, try and make it a little bit realistic? I mean, of course, if it's taken on a photo shoot, it's going to feel a little bit fabricated, but you can easily hand your iPhone over to someone on your crew and get them to take a couple of shots like this of you even working, in your work environment, doing the thing. And it's really helpful to be able to have that. These photos are fantastic to drip through your website just to give a little bit more reference point to what the experience sort of feels like to work with you. And they just help to break up the kind of monotony of text that can happen on a lot of websites. People are really visual these days. So it's great to guide them through and sort of show them even a couple of these sorts of different shots to be able to kind of, navigate through your website in particular. They also make really good social media fillers as well. Now, the next one that I want to share with you, and this might seem like it's a bit off business brand, but I think it is important as well to have a certain lifestyle element to the photography that you show on your business pages. Doesn't mean that you need to constantly be going out there and showing off if you're kind of like that whole bro marketing side of things that used to happen with like fancy cars and private jets and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking just letting people in a little bit more into your world so that they can understand what your values are. Okay. And values is a really big transactional decision-making tool, whether you know it or not. A lot of times people will book you because they feel like family is important to you, or they'll book you because they know that you're respectful, or they're going to book you because they know that you're an honest person. And so allowing them to step just slightly into your lifestyle and what's important to you outside of work and showing that to them visually, I think that's a really helpful tool to differentiate you in the market if people are just comparing you with another business. I love it when I go onto someone's business page and they've shared a photo of their family, or they've got a photo of them on their social media with their dog. Do you know, little things like that just help me to get to know them a little bit better. And it really helps with that know, like, and trust factor. Don't you agree?
Yeah, look, I've been thinking about that one the most because it's something I think about a lot. And my team used to say, oh, gee, you want more lifestyle? And I struggled with it because it's about my clients, right? Like I just couldn't agree more with when you talked about being of service, right? And showing up. And this is always, I guess, at the heart of what I think about. But I get exactly what you mean with the lifestyle one. And what I was imagining is, you've got your About Us page or, whatever it is. And also I talk a lot and I talk to my clients about writing their origin story, which is like a mini life story, because it's about connecting why you're doing what you're doing with the person that you are. And I think, so I think there's this bringing that in. And certainly I've shared that, personally, I'm a real advocate for putting your health first. I'm a passionate Latin dancer. And my clients get to exactly what you're talking about. They just get to know me and my values. because I do say it's really important that our organizational vibe and our vibe generally attracts our ideal tribe. And I believe in giving these days, you know, that it's the rise of PR and the death of marketing. And we need to give people the opportunity to get to know, like, and trust us 24/7 online. That's what they want. And when the pandemic hit, I can tell you right now, I'm actually speaking on this topic. I've just done it. The big shift in consumer behavior. Our consumers now expect to get to know, like, and trust us online completely without having to pick up the phone or send us anything. And a part of that, I feel, Paula, is exactly what you're talking about. So it's like, are you the kind of person I want to work with? And let's not try and please all the people all the time.
No, you don't have to be afraid of getting it wrong. The thing is if I was going to hire somebody to work for me, if I could see that they're out surfing every other weekend with their kids and they enjoy a really good life, and I can tell that that's the vibe and the culture of the business, and that they're not overworking their staff, they're not probably, you know, demanding that they work extreme hours and all of that kind of thing, I want to work with those people because they're creating a great life, not only for them, but also for their team. And the happy team working on my house or doing, you know, a building project for me or whatever the thing be, that I want to know that the people are happy turning up to work, because I know that then they're going to give me the best product as well. So it doesn't necessarily need to be about you. It's about sort of, it's about sharing that part of you that it correlates with the values, and it's going to attract, and it's also going to repel, as you said, the audience that you want to be working with, you know. So some people aren't going to vibe with that, and that's totally fine. But I think it's important too to understand that there can be boundaries with this stuff as well. So, you know, you were talking about the brand story. You have boundaries. I'm going to tell this part because it's relevant to my audience, but I'm going to hang on to this part because that's my private life and it has no relevance to you whatsoever. So I don't need to like dump all of my life on you either at the same time, do you know?
Yeah. And I really hope that the audience that's listening is allowing this seed to be planted in their mind so that they can begin to let it grow. Because, you know, I'll say it again, the big shift in consumer behavior post-pandemic. But what you said, this, you know, oversharing is not what we're looking for here. You know, it's really about, I guess it's exactly what you said, just letting people in just a little bit because they want to be able to self-assess whether you vibe. I only work with people I vibe with.
And at the end of the day, that's it. That's really the thing. Because at the end of the day, your business is probably in competition with a lot of other businesses, but they're going to have their own specific clientele that they work well with. And the same over on the other side. Do you know what I mean? So I believe that there's enough work for everybody, but I think the more niche you can be with the way that you're presenting yourself visually with your brand, in order to be able to attract the right sector of people that you want to work with. Do you know, there's plenty of work for everyone, but the more definite you can be about who you want to work with and who you vibe with, the much happier it can be to go to work, because you're attracting the right sorts of people and it's fun.
Yeah, and there's people like you out there that can help us get that right. Because I know for me, when I was told this is what you've got to do, Jeannie, it was like, I don't want to open the door to my life. Like, I'm an extrovert and I'm a sharer, but I don't want to open the door to my life. But then, you know, learning like you're teaching. And so, you know, that there are professionals like Paula that can help us to get this right, instead of, because I'm online all the time and I see a lot of oversharing. And I've got to tell you right now, when I'm about to press go on a purchase, the overshare makes me press stop because I don't like it. So getting it right in that space, I think, is important.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important with your content to have a tiny bit of strategy around it, because I think a lot of people can just knee jerk it and then they just sort of post because they feel like they have to. And, you know, a lot of my clients sort of overthink things, and then a lot of the time they can spend hours writing content or sort of trying to do things and then never actually get it done because they're scared of getting it wrong. And then other people I can see, as you say, oversharing and just sort of like spewing all over people. And it's like, Why? It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not, that piece of your life is not relevant to me. So I do think it's important to be doing a little bit of auditing on this stuff. Yeah, getting the help of somebody to sort of figure out the beats of your story. As you said, you're working with your clients to understand where, and the thing is you get a little bit bored of those parts of your story, but some of it you just have to keep saying over and over and over again, because it's not the same audience all the time that's hearing you. People have cyclic relationships with you on social media. Some will stay with you for life, but there's still a lot of new people coming in, and there's other people that are dropping off. Do you know? So you've got to be okay with sort of having a somewhat repetitive brand story messaging going out there, because there are a lot of different ways to tell the same thing, and you can use tools like imagery and video, obviously, to keep reinventing it as well. Now, the fourth image type that I wanted to jump into was the detailed shots. So, look, we've all seen these sort of things. It's where you kind of like hone in on the tools of your craft, or you hone in on details. These are great social media fillers, but they're also great to just use within your website to be able to like press buttons and guide people's attention to things. So let's say you are on the tools, and you might just get a photo of your hand pulling a tool out of a toolkit. That simply can just be a page breaker, or a button link, or a navigator somehow, that just again makes your page look really unique and specific, because it's tailor-made, personalized content for you. But also too, it helps people to navigate through your content, because at the moment we're all very tired. Our bandwidths are very small at the moment. And so the easier you can make the customer journey to navigate through your content, whether it be through your pricing PDFs or anything like that, visual, small amounts of text, it just helps them to sort of easily flow through, rather than seeing large blocks of paragraphs, because that's just overwhelming for most people, let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's, oh my goodness, I can't wait to work with you, Paula.
So we have the last image type, which is what I like to call your signature. So this is your banner shot. This is what you would put on the side of a bus if you were going to put an ad on a bus. This is the one that really gives a good feeling, an overall perspective of who you are and what you're about. And this radically shifts from business to business. For some people, I've had some business coaches that their signature shot has been them standing in their board shorts with their surfboard looking out over the ocean, because their whole goal and trajectory for working with their clients was to help them to have a better business that served their lifestyle. So the signature shot doesn't necessarily need to correlate exactly to the subject of the business, but it needs to attract attention, and it needs to really be on brand message about what you're about, rather than necessarily who you are. Now, it could be your entire team standing in front of a site or a bunch of trucks, or it could be you walking down the street. It doesn't matter what necessarily that photo is, but it really needs to attract attention, for one, because that's what we're all about. And it needs to give me a feeling of what makes you unique and what your point of difference is. So that's really what those 5 main images about. I'll just quickly recap: profile, work with me, lifestyle, details, and signature shot. And that's pretty much those 5 images in a barrel there, Jeannie.
That fascinates me, that last one, because I was thinking about different clients I've got and their different value propositions and points of different and unique selling proposition, and the why behind why their customers and clients are buying from them. And I was just seeing what you mean by it's all different, Yeah. Fascinating.
So I saw a beautiful signature shot for a company the other day, and they're kitchen cabinet makers, right? And it was really interesting that the kitchen was way back in the background, but the center point of the focus was a mum sitting with her daughter doing homework in the foreground. And I was like, so what you're saying is that with that beautiful, convenient kitchen, mum can have more quality time, and it creates a more cohesive home. And I was like, that's clever, right?
It is, and that's what I call a bit like the prize shot. It's like, and I did an illustration years ago for kind of what the prize is for it's around Better in Business, and it was illustration of a guy kind of in casual beach type clothes on his laptop with his wife and child in the background playing. And I showed it to a small group of people, and one of them just said, I want that. That's what I want. That's what I want to be. How do I get it, please? And that was just an example of it. It's more like a cartoony kind of thing for the cover of a small book. And it just gives you, so that signature shot, and I get that from my point of view, I don't think it would always be the prize, but I think that from time, a lot of times it's akin to or linked to or is the prize. I was thinking of a great client of mine that's in the air conditioning space, and that's we worked a lot around the why, and it's women and it's families and it's a cool home and it's keeping it cool. And a lot of the time, like you say about the kitchen, it's not about the kitchen. It's about what the kitchen gives us.
It's not about the sausage, it's about the sizzle.
I had a Sparky out recently, and he's so fabulous. I love this Sparky. And he did a little job for me, right? And it was just nothing, but it gave me such joy. As a woman, I was, and that signature shot would be just like a woman jumping in the air, as happy as can be in her kitchen. I don't think tradies always really, and tradies always turn up and try and give me the detail, and I'm like, it's going over my head. I just want to be able to access my mini vac easier.
I want the result. I'll tell you what the thing about those the signature shots is too, is from a creative perspective of coming into it, I can't ever really tell you which shot that's going to be in a photo shoot. You can't oftentimes you can't shoot for it, because sometimes you're just looking through a collection of photographs and you'll be there with the client and it's like, that's the one. That's what we both feel it, whether it's an energy, whether I work a lot with women who are 40 plus, where it's the moment where she just gets it and she looks super confident and she looks super comfortable in herself. And there's an energy, whether it's a framing, you can never predict it. Or you can try to shoot for it and then it turns up on a different part of the shoot. It's interesting. But once you're in a rhythm with somebody and you understand the vibe, you understand what they're trying to get across, and you understand their ideal customer because they know their ideal customer, then there's just a synergy that kind of happens in this content creation process, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I get that's the creative space, because I work in the two. So I work in the black and white of the numbers, which I love, because everything's, just black and white. It's you're making money, you're losing money, you're on benchmark, you're not. And then the creative space where I'm helping people, do strategic foundations. And I'm like, it's paint on a canvas, and the same thing. We're vibing over this thing and it's coming together and it's not linear. And we've got to, I love both sides, but certainly the creative space is something that you have to be much more vulnerable in, which is always a challenge. So a couple of things before we finish up. So first of all, I'd love to let the audience know that every single one of us finds photo shoots and video difficult. Yeah, whether I'm someone who's, probably got more front than mine. I'm very confident. I am in the fetal position doing this stuff, like everybody else. But here's something that Brene Brown told me, and I rocked my world, and it is true, and that is that courage and fear exist together, not separately.
Yeah.
So when you pluck up the courage to do anything, like I did my first live Facebook video, some people would go, well, big deal, that's easy. Well, I think it's hard, right? So when you pluck up the courage, if you have a whole lot of fear and anxiety, please know that that is normal, and that courage and fear exist together, not separately. And then lastly, Paula, I'd just love you to tell everyone where they can find you, like your URL, which we'll drop in the show notes and everything. But Paula does retreats and she does on-location photo shoots, and there's lots of opportunities here. So just anything you'd like to tell us about what's coming up and how to find you.
Yeah, look, I think the best place to drop into is paulabrennan.com.au. You can find out all about the different types of experiences that we have coming up. We do content creation retreats. We help people to bring their brand stories to life, both in video and in photo shoots. And I can work with you custom to really, create a collection of images and photos and videos that means you won't have to pick up your iPhone again for another year or 2 years. all your content buckets will be full. So,
wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah.
and if you want to check out where Jeannie found me, you can just go to @Paula Brennan on Insta. I'm there.
How good's Insta? Because we just get to follow our people. I love it. We follow them, we unfollow them. Insta's so good. And it's not email tennis, which is a sport with all losers. And Paula also trains other photographers. So if you are a photographer or you've got a burning desire to be a photographer, you can connect with Paula to have a look at what she's doing in that space as well. And I'm sure you will all agree with me that she is fabulous, and she's been a fabulous guest on the show. Thank you so much for coming on, Paula.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. So hope I've been helpful to your listeners out there, and hopefully this might help you to take a little nudge in a positive direction to share a little bit more of yourself, guys.
Absolutely. Courage and fear. Thanks, Paula.
Thanks for tuning in. For more information on this episode or how to work with me, check out the show notes. If you'd like to know how I can help you do better in business, you know where to find me, betterinbusiness.global. See you in the next episode.